Mountain building.
Ever wonder how mountains are built? If you haven't, take a second to ponder it. You won't have to wait long to find out if you're right. We're about to learn how mountains are built right now. Learn about a few different types of mountains, how they're formed, what it all has to do with plate tectonics.
Did you know the highest mountain on the planet rises over 29,000 feet off the surface of the Earth? The locals call it Sagarmatha, or Goddess of the Sky.
In English, this goddess of the sky is known as Mount Everest. Everest is part of the highest mountain range in the world, the Himalayas.
The Himalayan range runs east to west from eastern Pakistan through Nepal and all the way to Bhutan. Even though the Himalayas have been around for as long as you or I or any of our great-great-great-great-grandparents can remember, they weren't there forever. So how did they form?
As you can see, the range forms a sort of natural boundary between India and Tibet. This is an important clue to the mountain's formation. Can you guess what it tells us?
You see, India and Tibet are not part of the same tectonic plate. India lies on the Indian plate, while Tibet is part of the Eurasian plate. And, go figure, the Himalayan range lies directly on the boundary between these two plates.
Clever Earth scientists have pieced together the story of the Himalayas.
Turns out India and the rest of Eurasia were not always right next to each other. In fact, they used to have an ocean between them.
Really? But then where in the world did that ocean go?
It sank. Over millions of years as the Indian plate moved toward the Eurasian plate, the oceanic crust at the edge of the Indian plate subducted or sank below the Eurasian plate. Slowly, the Indian continent closed in on Eurasia. Eventually, the two collided. Can you guess what happened next?
It's an epic battle of continent on continent. What will happen?
When the two continents finally collided, their crusts crumpled up against each other, causing the rock to bend upward into folds. Up, 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 that crust rose like it was trying to lick the butter off some great corn on the cob in the sky.
The Himalayas are an example of a type of mountain called a folded mountain. A folded mountain forms when a continental plate collides with another plate. Instead of breaking, the two plates simply bend or fold. Folded mountains make up some of the highest mountain ranges in the world. They are also the most common types of mountains in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the last deodorant-free dance troupe in America with their critically acclaimed epic movement drama, Push.
As we've seen, the Himalayas were formed at a convergent plate boundary. You know, a place where two tectonic plates collide. Most mountains are formed at convergent plate boundaries. Write that down.
You should know, however, that the Himalayas are a bit unusual. They were formed by the collision of two continents. That's what makes them so gosh darn high. It is more common for mountains to be formed when a piece of oceanic crust dives under a continent. You know, at a subduction zone.
A subduction zone, remember, is what you get at a convergent boundary where oceanic crust collides with continental crust. Because the oceanic crust is denser than the continental crust, it subducts or sinks or dives beneath it. Subduction zones usually occur at the edges of continents.
A good example of mountains created at a subduction zone are the Andes Mountains of South America. The Andes were built when the oceanic Nazca plate slid beneath the South American plate. This forced the continental crust to get shoved upward. As you can see, the chain extends down the entire western edge of the continent.
If you're having trouble visualizing this, just picture the way icing piles up in a mound on your spatula when you scrape it from the bottom of a bowl. This is similar to the way the continental crust gets shoved upward as oceanic crust dives beneath it.
You know, subduction zones are also abduction zones. Don't be fooled. Every nook and cranny in those Andes mountains are crawling with little green men.
Let's just stick with the facts, okay?